Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
Why the UK-US trade deal was pretty underwhelming, and that's an interesting title because how I read it, that it was actually a pretty great deal, but let's see.
This video is brought to you by Ground News. On Thursday afternoon, the UK and the US announced that they'd agreed a free trade deal, making the UK the first country to reach an agreement with the US since Trump's so-called Liberation Day, when the White House announced sweeping tariffs on basically all America's major trading partners. Nonetheless, despite a fair bit of excitement in the press, the deal itself turned out to be very limited, and mainly involved exempting certain British exports from some of Trump's more recent tariffs. So, in this video, we're going to take a look at this new UK-US trade deal, how it compares to the potential US-UK trade deal Brexiteers loved talking about back in the day, and why, even if it's pretty limited, it's probably good news for both Trump and Starmer.
Definitely good news for Trump, because at least, one could make an argument that, okay, his plan is starting to work. So this is the first step. You see if other countries follow, then this was the plan, and everybody's gonna cheer up. Oh yeah, Trump, way to go. So definitely good news for him.
After 14 long years out of power, their foreign policy and economic, as long-time viewers will probably already know, this isn't the first time the US and the UK have tried to sort out a trade deal. In fact, this was a hot topic of debate during the Brexit years, when Brexiteers argued that one of the big Brexit dividends would be that the UK would be able to negotiate a free trade deal with America. For context, since 2013, the EU had been trying to negotiate a deal with the US, provisionally called the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, which would have been arguably the largest free trade deal ever. Unfortunately for both sides, negotiations were constantly held up, both because the US didn't like the idea of being beholden to EU standards and regulations, and because the 28 EU member states were always struggling to agree on what exactly they wanted. Little progress was made under Obama, and the deal then totally collapsed once Obama was replaced by Trump, who instead started a trade war with the EU. Anyway, Brexiteers argued that, without the hassle of having to negotiate with the other 27 EU member states, a post-Brexit Britain would be able to quickly negotiate a lucrative free trade deal with the US, which could then effectively replace the EU as the UK's main market. This proved such a potent political argument at the time that David Cameron essentially begged for an intervention from Obama, who famously announced, only a month or so before the referendum, that Brexit Britain would be, quote, at the back of the queue for any trade talks. Nonetheless, after Brexit...
wow.
But that's not a good thing at the back of the queue.
Yeah. So, but now they're in the front.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson's Conservative government immediately signalled its enthusiasm for a deal with the US, and negotiations with the Trump administration began in May 2020. At the time, Johnson and the Tories were hoping for a really comprehensive free trade deal, but this never really happened. While the two sides signed a series of mini deals, there was a slightly awkward phase when the UK started essentially lobbying individual states and signing so-called memorandums of understanding with them. A comprehensive deal never materialised. This was largely because the...
That is
That's
interesting. So
interesting.
what, UK signs a trade deal with Florida?
Florida?
What? Oh, I never heard that before.
Biden administration, which obviously succeeded Trump in 2021, just wasn't keen on free trade deals. This was both because the Biden team essentially accepted Trump's argument that American producers needed more protection from the states, and because they'd concluded from Trump's victory in 2016 that free trade deals were just too politically toxic. But it was also because, somewhat unsurprisingly, it turns out the Americans are pretty ruthless negotiators, and some of their demands didn't go down well with the UK electorate. As our UK viewers might recall, there was a bit of a furore over the idea of the UK lowering its agricultural regulations to allow chlorinated chicken and hormone-injected beef into the UK, which was something America's powerful farming lobby insisted upon. There were also recurring reports that US pharma companies were pushing for greater access to the NHS as part of any deal, which proved politically toxic for the Tories. Anyway, you get the idea. Contrary to what Brexiteers claimed, negotiating a free trade deal with the US proved remarkably difficult, and the emerging bipartisan consensus against free trade in Washington means it now looks pretty much impossible. And this is sort of the key thing to understand about the deal that Trump and Starmer just announced. Despite all the excitement in the press, it's nowhere near the deep and comprehensive free trade deal that Brexiteers originally imagined. Listening to Starmer and Trump, you might have assumed otherwise. On Wednesday, for instance, Trump took to Truth Social to tease a major trade deal with representatives of a big and highly respected country. All in caps, by the way. And during the press conference, Starmer claimed that we've managed to achieve...
I saw that. Why did we see it like in a reaction or something? That tweet? No?
I'm not too
It
sure.
looked familiar. Oh.
what many people had tried to achieve
Oh, maybe you guys posted on Discord. Maybe that's where I saw it.
for many years. But this is because both sides have an incentive to oversell it. Trump wants to calm the markets, which apparently doubt both the efficacy of his tariffs and his deal-making abilities. And Starmer wants to claim that he's achieved something that the Brexiteer Tories couldn't. In reality, this deal is really quite shallow. It basically exempts the UK from Trump's recent 25% tariffs on steel, aluminium, and, more importantly, cars, which are the UK's largest single export to the US. However, Trump's universal 10% tariff will stay in place, and there's a 100,000 quota on how many cars the UK can export to the US tariff-free. For context, the UK exported around 130,000 cars to the US last year, which means at least some cars will get hit by the tariffs. In return, the UK will apparently buy $10 billion worth of Boeing planes and accept new reciprocal trading rules for high-quality beef, ethanol, and machinery from the US. This will have a negligible impact on both countries' GDPs. And while there was a whole load of rhetoric about using the deal as a platform for a deeper deal in the future, familiar obstacles remain. Nonetheless, even if there isn't actually all that much to the deal, both Starmer and Trump will be hoping it'll help them politically. For Starmer, this deal...
This is nothing. I mean, what I get out of this is UK committed to buy the planes. Aside from that, they still
But
have.
it seemed like no one wanted these planes because there was a lot of issues with Boeing in the news.
Yeah, but why is Trump lobbying for Boeing now? What, he's getting paid by Boeing? Why the fuck does he care if Boeing sells? That is so weird.
I guess because it's a money maker and it's gonna.
But why Boeing? Like particularly Boeing? No, why
That's
not
the
just?
big American brand I know of. No, for airplanes, Boeing.
I guess. I don't know.
I always hear Boeing first.
I kind of expected more. I don't know. This is kind of yeah.
Hmm.
And the UK too. They still get a 10% tariff. It's just like that was 10% anyway. The 25% was just a bluff. Whatever. Nobody cares about that. So it's like they didn't really win that thing. The only thing they.
I guess to be sure exactly a plan and not be unsure.
I don't like this because this sets precedent. Now Trump gonna expect everybody to take deals, and this deal is just if everybody says deals like that is.
I think I don't know. It's best to take be the first to negotiate and be the last.
I don't know. I don't like this. I really thought. Well, okay. What I was
Because do you think Britain is not working in a group with anybody?
No, yeah, they're solo.
on their
They're
own, so
solo,
they're
yeah.
trying to get the best deal.
Yeah, no.
Because whatever Europe gets, it's gonna be a group deal.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. The way I was kind of thinking, I was thinking, okay, everybody ignores Trump and he forgets about this, so we go back to no tariffs at all. Here, because Britain made a deal and the deal is so lackluster, it proves Trump that okay, he was right.
Yeah, and he won.
And he won, so he's gonna enforce the tariffs
Yeah.
now. Because okay, if Britain did it, everybody gonna do it. I don't like it. This is bad.
You wanna know something? The Pope, he's American. That's another win for Trump.
I guess the country is highly religious. Yeah, makes
Because
sense. It's gonna say
It's
that's
a
his
big,
achievement.
yeah, it's a big figure.
Yeah, it's gonna say that's his achievement. Yeah.
coming just 2 days after the UK-India trade deal, might help him portray himself as a savvy pragmatist on the international stage, which is clearly how Starmer wants to be perceived, and even as a potential bridge between Europe and Trump's America. For Trump, this deal might help signal to the markets that he's in deal-making mode, and that the tariff-related chaos we saw earlier this year was all part of a clever plan to extract concessions from America's trading partners. Whether that's really the case or not, the reaction from the market has been muted but positive. As of Thursday morning, the S&P 500 is up 1%, meaning American stocks have now recovered their post-Liberation Day losses. This is a complex and nuanced story though, and as such there's plenty more to read about this online, with 4...
Can I see the comments?
I do not like this at all. I thought this was like gonna benefit anybody. This is like such a we stay in place type of deal. It's nothing. How to art of deal, break existing beneficial agreements, negotiate a fraction of what previous deal cost. Promising to buy Boeing planes is crazy deal. Firm creates a problem.
Replies?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I didn't realize we had government-owned airlines. Yes, they're not exactly reliable, are they? Looney by Airbus. UK buys $10 billion worth of Chinese returns. Are these going out of business prices? Boeing buys engines and parts from the UK. I don't know what's going on. Trump creates a problem, partially solves it, calls himself a genius deal maker. $10, well, 10 billion, I'm assuming, worth of Boeing planes. Boeing barely has any presence in the UK, such a slap in the face to the Airbus, who have several factories spread throughout the UK. Yeah, the UK people are not happy. I don't know.
Ooh.
I honestly, I do feel like Trump kind of won on this deal. UK got really short end of the stick here. I don't really feel like how this benefits UK at all, and for Trump, at least he gets to push his planes.
Okay, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And always, share as much kindness as possible.